Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things here on Thursday's show. We're almost to Friday, almost to the weekend. It's my pleasure to be sitting here. I'm excited about today's show. I was excited about yesterday's show. I was happy with yesterday's show. We had a few laughs. The Epstein stuff is just infinitely interesting to me. Trump doesn't want it to be interesting to you. It's interesting to me. I love that we got into that, and we'll get into it more. It's one of those evolving situations, that we've been keeping an eye on. There's a number of them. But I wanted to start with just updating you on the climate hoax a little bit. All right, I wanted to give you some climate hoax events, some stuff that didn't really happen because climate change is a hoax, right? They will tell you hoax. They will say hoax to you still in the face of all of these events that are unfolding across our country. And by the way, I'm still looking for your calls. 561-270-3844. Call in, take part in the show. It's funny, too. I want people in my life to call in. I'm going to get to the climate stuff. I want people in my life to call in, too. Some people, it's starting to happen a little bit where people that I know in RL are catching wind of the show. And I got mad respect for those Republicans and those MAGA in my life who we get along, right? Some people don't make it their defining characteristic, right? We know some people in our lives who are great people, known them for years, great father, mother, whatever, fun to be with, good people, and they also are MAGA, right? We know some of those people. Some people don't make it their defining personality trait. And I have some of those in my life, and every now and then, it's rare, but a couple of them will just come up and tell me, we'll talk, whatever. Did you catch the show? Yeah, I caught the show. What'd you think? Well, you're a liar. It's happened a couple times. I respect the hell out of that. You're not going to defend the position. You're not going to chop it up with me and try to dive into the minutia. Just pull the ripcord. You're a liar, Brett. So about this other thing we want to talk about, right? Like just move right on. I respect that. Anybody in my life that wants to come up and tell me they saw the show and I'm a filthy libtard liar, you come do that. At least I'll know where we stand. And thanks for checking out the show. For those of you who do think I'm a big liar, although I source and cite everything, please call in. Call me on my lies. Let's have a discussion about it. Love to. 561-270-3844. We're also looking for friendlies, always. So I'm lying about the climate change, obviously. I'm definitely lying about the climate change because there's no examples of it going on in our country. Tornadoes. March 13th through 16th, there was a tornado outbreak across the Midwest and some of the parts of the East with 118 tornadoes over a 3-day period. 43 dead. And 247 injured with $6.2 billion of damage. On May 16th, an E4 category tornado in Kentucky, 19 dead, 108 injured, hundreds of millions in damage. May 16th, St. Louis, F3 tornado, 1.6 billion in damage, 5 killed. May 18th, 21st, in the South, Mid-South area, 126 tornadoes across a 3-day period. Dozens of injuries, power outages, flooding. Obviously, in Texas, we talked about that. 119 dead with 170 missing. And the floods happened directly after in New Mexico, a flash flood late July 8th. The flood crest got to a record 20 feet, killed 3, injured 4, missing, some missing, 35 to 50 homes destroyed. Flooding in North Carolina, record temperatures in Denver, record temperatures in Arizona. Got to 117 degrees in Arizona at one point. It's a hoax. We need FEMA more now than we ever did. We need it well-run, active, and well-funded. We do not need FEMA being used as a political cudgel or something to threaten somebody with, whether they'll provide it or not. We need it more now than ever, and it's under attack, which, it's just a bizarre situation. Obviously, we need assistance more than ever across the country. in the face of these things, and it is under attack. Why do I bring this up at the top of the show? Because Thom Tillis had something to say about FEMA. Thom Tillis had something to say about quite a few things. You remember in the late 90s, mid-late 90s, those despicable, disgusting videos, Girls Gone Wild, Cancun, Girls Gone Wild. You remember those? Let me tell you something. Thom Tillis has gone wild. Now that he's not trying for re-election, watch Thom Tillis go wild. Thom Tillis goes wild on FEMA.
I mean, the last time I checked, storms have a really bad habit of crossing state and county jurisdictions.
They don't care whose congressional district it is.
To me, anybody that's advising the president we should get rid of FEMA has clearly had no experience with disaster response. We have a lot of experience with disaster response in the Southeast. We've got a number of recommendations to modernize FEMA, to shift more responsibility down, but the federal government has to be the convening authority. I mean, FEMA was actually, its birth was out of a disastrous response in the past. But if we're talking about changing the execution, that's fine. But the federal government has to play a role. There are no major storms that you could possibly have a coordinated, solid response to if it's a pickup game by states.
Right.
And so it's just absurd. Whoever recommended that clearly is out of their depth on disaster response.
Man, I'm going to put together a compilation. All of these ex-Republican, ex-advisor, ex-donors, all these ex social media that just start telling the truth about Trump, man. I'm going to put together a Gone Wild political edition, or Gone Wild. I'm going to put that together. And Tillis was just getting warmed up. Listen to Thom Tillis bear it all about the president's advisors.
I don't have a problem with President Trump.
Right.
I got a problem with some of the people I consider to be amateurs advising him.
What do you make when you go on
social? So I want to make it very clear to them guys, when you act like the president when he's out of the room, you don't impress me. And they'll hear more of that in the coming months.
Who are you talking about specifically? Stephen Miller?
We'll get to that.
Slow down, Tapper. We're going to get to that. Who are you talking about specifically? Look at him trying to beef. He's trying to start beef. Stop boosting, bro. He's gonna get there. You're boosting it. You think he'd be saying any of this stuff if he was seeking re-election? I mean, talk about, recipient of a brand new backbone surgically implanted in Thom Tillis, and he's gone wild. He's gone wild. He goes wild about Stephen Miller.
Come together.
What does the Republican Party need to do to get its message right? Less fealty to one man?
I have fealty to ideals. I don't have fealty to any one man. And I do believe that we're doing the president a disservice. The president, President Trump, nor any president, could possibly be expected to have a detailed understanding of all the things that they have to deal with. What the president needs to do is start really looking at the outcome of some of these policy decisions and ask himself, is he really getting the best professional advice? That's what I've been trying to provide him for the last few years, and that's what I'm going to continue to provide him. And it's worth what he paid for it. But as somebody who's been in elected office for 20 years at the leadership level in the State House and doing all I can up here, I hope that he starts listening to more of us and fewer of those people who pretend like they're the president when he's out of the room over in the White House.
Who are you talking about?
There will be plenty of time for me to cover that later.
Not later in this interview.
Right.
I mean, he's talking about Stephen Miller, right? That's who Tapper's inferring he's talking about for sure. Talking about, I don't have fealty to one man. Man, that is tough talk out of you, Thom Tillis, now that you're not seeking re-election. You think he'd be talking about no fealty to one man if he was? Get one of those Massey ads ran on him? No, Thom Tillis has gone wild. And I'm here for it. I told you I'm here for it. I loved it when Cohen went wild. Every now and then John Bolton goes wild. Adam Kinzinger goes wild. I love it. Not that Kinzinger was ever a big Trump guy, but he was a Republican. I love it when they go wild. It is the best. I mean, I'd love it if they positively affected, the administration's decisions while they hold power and are in a position to do so. That would be great. How about that concept? That would be wonderful. But I'll take the petty stuff. I'll take the scorned lover stuff. I'll take it.
You know, Brett, the real test, I think, is going to be when it's campaigning time and who's going to run for his seat. Because right now there's been some rumors that it's going to be Laura Trump. So is he going to support her, or is he going to put his weight behind whoever the Democratic candidate's going to be? That's going to see, like, when he really goes how far off the deep end and how angry he is with this administration is. Like, so they can't completely go and attack him because he still kind of has that power, I would think.
Wow, that's a really good point. Now, the first part of that you posed, will he support Laura? I don't think he has to actually support Laura one way or another. And it put me on the spot. I think he probably would not. Maybe he's going to take the opportunity of not seeking re-election to just detach himself from the limelight a little bit, right? Like start the vacation. But to the second part of that, how scorned is he? Is he scorned enough to back a Democratic nominee for his seat? Wow. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. With that, how much weight would that hold in his state, with other Republicans, with Republican voters, maybe in other states seeing this? I mean, that is an interesting question. That's a really interesting question. Now, watch Thom Tillis as he goes absolutely crazy over Pete Hegseth.
You mentioned earlier that you thought President Trump was getting bad advice, not just about this bill, but also maybe about some of his nominees. You ultimately voted for both RFK Jr. for HHS Secretary and Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary, even though your vote was not guaranteed until the end there. Do you regret those votes now that you've seen them in office?
Well, you know, first, I need to set the record straight on Hegseth. Yeah. I had already informed my conference that I was going to defer to the Senate Armed Services vote. If he got a unanimous vote out of Senate Armed Services, then I was going to defer to them. I was on that committee for several Congresses. But then there was that allegation that came out on that Sunday. It was net new information. I complete my due diligence. And so I interviewed a number of people. I was called over to the White House on the Thursday night asking me to vote for them. I said, I may. The vote's not till tomorrow. I've still got to complete my due diligence. And quite honestly, there were conversations that I had on Friday that made me put this allegation in the same category as the other ones that I'd worked on before he was confirmed. Now,
this had to do with abusive tactics towards women? Or towards,
that's right. Yeah. But what it came down to is, honestly, there was never an example of an eyewitness corroborated account. And I had to be fair to Pete Hegseth on that issue. Now, with the passing of time, I think it's clear he's out of his depth as a manager of a large, complex organization.
Yeah, what was your reaction to the Signalgate situation?
Well, that's just one. I mean, this whole idea of having a pause in Ukraine defensive arms,
right.
that's
dumping
just
out his
amateurish.
purse.
I mean, that's from somebody who doesn't understand large organization dynamics. So, you know, I don't regret the decision I made back then based on the facts as I knew them then. But today I am beginning to wonder if maybe Armed Services was a little bit generous with respect to their assessment of his capabilities as a manager of the world's largest, most complex, and arguably consequential organization.
So you don't regret it, but if you had to do it again today, you probably wouldn't vote yes?
I think based on the information I have today. If all I had was the information on the day of the vote, I'd certainly vote for him again. But now I have the information of him being a manager, and I don't think that his probationary period's been very positive.
There's Thom Tillis, the snake-like politician. Well, no, I don't regret it. Yeah, I do the same thing. That's like if you go down to the local jail and you talk to somebody who's in jail for robbing a liquor store, and you ask him, do you regret your decision to rob the liquor store? Well, no, I don't regret my decision because I needed crack and I didn't have any money. So it made sense for me at the time. Well, now you're in jail. Well, yeah, now I'm in jail, so maybe there was a flaw in the decision-making somewhere along the way, so you do it differently. Well, no, because at the time I needed crack. So no, I don't regret it, and I would make the same decision. We're gonna talk more about Hegseth. We're gonna talk more about Hegseth because Hegseth, he made a little blunder, right? There's a couple people in this administration whose jobs are 100% in jeopardy. At the top of that list, I would put Tulsi Gabbard, and I would put Pete Hegseth. I would say their jobs are squarely in the crosshairs. And it is absolutely deserved in the terms of Pete Hegseth. What was Tulsi's big crime? Telling the truth about the damage assessment in Iran and telling the truth about the reasons we did it. Hegseth, no, he's screwing up.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified defense secretary in American history. He undermines the ability of the Department of Defense to keep the American people safe. And Donald Trump should fire him, or Pete Hegseth should tender his resignation. That's been clear and apparent for months. And it's shocking to me that this charade continues to go on. Ukraine is an ally. Russia is a sworn enemy of the United States of America. And when you limit Ukraine's ability to be successful in the war of aggression that Russia has launched against a sovereign country, you undermine America's national security interests, and that's highly problematic.
How do you really feel about it, Hakeem? Could you imagine Hakeem Jeffries like disciplining his son? You're the most unsuccessful 13-year-old ever. You haven't done the dishes. You didn't take out the garbage. Your grades are low. You're grounded. I feel like sometimes he's doing his best Obama. Good tactic. Good tactic. I'd love to get some more Obama. I honestly hope the Republicans finagle some bull crap where a president can run for a third term and then Obama runs against him and murders him and is our president once again. That would be amazing. I'll even take Billy Clinton, 114-year-old Billy Clinton, still charming as hell. I'll even take Clinton over this iteration of Trump. But Jeffries very clear on how he feels about Pete Hegseth, most unsuccessful head of the Department of Defense ever. He made a boo-boo recently. I wanted to kind of walk you through, the U.S. monetary support for Ukraine real quick, just so we can get, a gauge on, what we're talking about on the timeline of Trump's support specifically. But between 2022 and 2024, the U.S. had supported Ukraine with $175 billion in aid and weapons. That's aid and weapons. Refugee resettlement, military replenishment, indirect costs related to supporting their efforts. In military support alone, in direct military support, we have given them $66 billion worth of military support, and we have another $20 billion from the Biden era committed. But Trump kind of put the kibosh on a lot of that. We were delivering Stingers, Javelins, Hellfires, Patriots, Hawk air defense systems, howitzers, drones, F-16s. We gave them F-16s, training, logistics, and delivery, and lots of other smaller munitions under Biden, okay? Under the Trump administration, in January, via an executive order, what he, bashed Biden for doing, and Obama before him, executive order after executive order, one of his 170 or whatever it was executive orders, was a pause on all non-military foreign aid for 90 days, and then a pause on March 3rd of military and intelligence. Just paused it. And this was when he was still making nice with Putin, okay? Talking with Putin. Putin respects him. Putin thinks he's powerful. He thinks Putin's smart. Ukraine won't admit that Russia started the war, invites Zelensky to the White House, then berates him and publicly shames him with the help of his buddy J.D. Vance, talking about how he's dressing and wanting him to acknowledge their greatness and bend a knee to them. All of that. Remember when their relationship was good, Putin and Trump? Remember that? So he paused all the military aid, paused all the non-military aid. But that didn't go over so well. That wasn't exactly the most popular move. And then Putin started souring the relationship a little bit, not showing up to his peace talks, kind of doing what he wants in the face of Trump saying this war will be over in 24 hours once I get elected. See, the longer we go past that 24-hour self-imposed deadline of Trump's during the campaign, the longer we go past that, the dumber he looks, the more feckless he looks, the more impotent he looks. And it's not lost on him because this is a matter of ego. And in matters of ego, that takes precedent for Trump. So this development, the way this is heading, his relationship with Putin, it's not lost on his ego. And it's starting to be demonstrable, right? It's starting to result in demonstrable actions by Trump. But Trump did eventually resume aid. I think it was $50 million. It was $50 million he okayed in aid, and there were some Biden-era munitions that were dedicated that were also on the way. Well, Pete made a boo-boo. Pete screwed up. Now, did Pete actually screw up all by himself? Or was there, other factors playing into his decision-making? Was anybody else involved in Pete's decision-making? That remains to be seen. But what we do know is that Hegseth himself ordered a pause of shipment of U.S. weapons to Ukraine, including Patriot interceptors, and that's a big point for Trump. He talks about those specifically. Howitzer rounds, Hellfire missiles, Stingers, grenade launchers, paused. He says the pause was so they could reevaluate U.S. stockpiles and readiness. Now, since then, others have claimed that that is absolutely ridiculous, that our readiness has been we have been as ready as we ever have been. And these munitions that were shipped to Ukraine are on their way. They were literally on their way when the pause was ordered and they came back. Okay, they were on their way. Reports are that this had all been taken into account in terms of our readiness, in terms of our stockpile. It had already been accounted for. There was absolutely no reason to pause this. And, Ukraine called it painful amid Russia's intensified air assaults, largest aerial attack. I mean, they are breaking records with the aerial assaults on Ukraine right now. Now, Hegseth says he made this decision unilaterally. He did it by himself. The Pentagon itself had come out. Sources in the Pentagon itself had come out and said, yeah, the arsenals have not been depleted. We don't know what he's talking about. We don't know why he made this decision. Actually, Sean Parnell of the a Pentagon spokesperson, Sean Parnell said he confirmed that. He confirmed that a capability review is underway, but insisted that U.S. forces were fully equipped. And he didn't tell Trump. That's the running narrative. He made this decision unilaterally. He made it without telling Trump. Trump, who had been souring on Putin lately, making statements about Russia's war, been made to look the fool by Putin a number of times. Okay? The shipments were going ahead. The military aid was going ahead. The whole narrative on their relationship was changing. And Hegseth did this by himself. Okay. Well, here's Don talking about the importance of these shipments.
Ukraine, Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard. So many people are dying in that mess.
Okay, so he's saying out loud, we need to supply Ukraine with weapons, defensive weapons. They're getting hit hard. Russia's upping the war. People are getting killed. Then he's asked about this shipment. Pause.
Last week, the Pentagon paused some shipments of weapons to Ukraine. Did you approve of that pause?
We wanted to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
So who ordered the pause last week?
I don't know. What did you tell me?
Why don't you tell? What a child. Why don't you tell me? She asked who about this pause. There was a pause, and he says, "We gotta give weapons to Ukraine." Completely dodging the question. The dude, and I think that's much more prevalent with female reporters. I don't know if you've noticed that. He will blow right past their questions. It's as if there's just a not acknowledgement. Not an acknowledgement of their worth, of their value, of what they may be asking. It's diminished in some way unless you're stroking his ego, right? Unless you're stroking his ego, or he thinks you're pretty. We're going to get to that, I promise you. But yeah, so he dismisses the question. She doubles down. But what about the pause? You tell me. You tell me. He's an upsetting dude. So he didn't know? You're getting, surprised by this reporter's question on the spot? How much of a disconnect is there between you and the officials in your administration? Tulsi's over here saying the Iranians are not close to a nuclear program. We've got our intelligence. We know that. And then you get asked about it and you're like, what'd she say? Oh, she's wrong. How much of a disconnect is there? Hegseth's admitting I unilaterally made this decision to pause weapons sent to Ukraine because of our stockpiles. They asked Trump about it. What? You tell me. You can't tell this dude anything. I'm telling you, those two people, their jobs are in jeopardy. Trump continues talking about munitions.
You said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet.
You sound stupid, Don. It's exposed. You didn't know. What do you mean you would know? You didn't know. That's why he's asking you the question. Man, your ego is taking a beating lately, Don. A pounding. That's cognitive dissonance right there. He just can't wrap his head around the reality of these things happened without him knowing. He's the deal maker. He's the boss. He's the king. Nothing happens without him knowing, but it just did, Don. No, it doesn't. I would know. I mean, that's cognitive dissonance. That is just your ego, just stream of consciousness, ego-based stream of consciousness, and you just can't face the reality. You have no coherent answer to this question because you just can't imagine in your own mind that anything in your administration would happen without you knowing it and rubber stamping it. Well, it's happening, Don. It's happening.
Brett breaks things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House was weighing whether to send another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. Can you confirm that reporting?
They would like it. They've asked for it. They're very rare indeed, because a lot of systems have been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to. I know they made the request. We're going to have to take a look at it. It's very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president. That's a terrible, terrible war over there, and truly a shame. It's very sad. When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Also on Russia.
Yesterday, sir, as well, Ukraine was hit by over 700 drones sent by Russia last night. What's your response to that attack?
Well, I've been sort of letting people know I'm not happy about what's going on. It's a war that should have never happened. It should not happen now. They're losing. Now it's up. I've been saying 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000. Think of it, 7,000 people a week on both sides. 7,000 people, young, mostly military people, young souls are dead and dying, and it should be stopped. It should be stopped. Very sad to see what's happening.
So what was our mission statement, right? Fact check the lies, debunk the BS, highlight the injustice. Here's a shocker for you. There's nothing to debunk in that clip. He actually told the truth in every aspect of that clip. How about that? It's tough to confirm the amount of casualties per week like he's talking about, but it is around there. He said 7,000. It's somewhere around there. He's talking about Ukraine needs the capability to defend itself. They're getting hit. Yes, Russia is escalating the war. There was a giant drone attack. I'm going to get to the attacks. He's right. And the young souls are dying. He's being dramatic. He's doing the Trump riff thing, but he's right. There are young people, innocent civilians, dying by the thousands in Ukraine. And what else was he right about in that clip? He was right about the rarity of Patriot missiles. They are pretty rare, actually. They are pretty rare and very expensive. There's only about 1,100 batteries that fire these that the U.S. is operating or has. They're actually operating actively around 500 of them. They are extremely rare, to be honest with you. Only 18 countries are using them right now. There's about 250 total launchers spread globally. They are expensive and rare. Each missile itself costs anywhere between $4 to $10 million. And the batteries themselves cost anywhere between $1 and $1.25 billion per battery. And we only produce about between 500 and 600 Patriot missiles a year. He's right. They are extremely rare. And he's right that Russia has upped its attacks lately, has escalated the war lately. Let me give you a little, just real quick, of the more recent action in Ukraine. In June, there was a military strike on a training ground near Dnipro that killed 12 Ukrainian soldiers, injured 60. Operation Spiderweb, we talked about that. Ukraine retaliated with Operation Spiderweb, launching drones deep in Russian territory, destroying anywhere between 10 to 20 bombers. Later in June, there was a massive Russian drone missile assault. 1,400 plus drones were sent over in June with 78 missiles in one single week between the 6th and the 10th. And it was one of the largest of the war at that point. There was a Russian air assault later in June with over 500 drones. Russia has made frontline gains. Russia did drone strikes. Ukraine has countered with drone strikes in Russian offices. Russia attacking a lot of civilian areas. One tactic Russia has been taking recently is called a double tap strike, where they bomb a civilian area, wait about an hour, wait for aid to come, the ambulances, and then bomb it again. So he's right. This has escalated. And then most recently, now that was from yesterday. And prior to that reporter's question talking about a massive drone strike, there was a massive drone strike on the 9th. Another record-breaking strike on the 9th with 728 Shahed and decoy drones, plus 6 hypersonic missiles. They all hit in civilian areas in the Donetsk and Luhansk region. 9 civilians were killed, at least. Numbers are tough to verify. Those strikes were so close to Poland that they prompted a NATO jet scramble over Poland. They didn't know where this was going to go. It was that close to NATO territory. And then after that question, after that presser, on July 10th, overnight, a new wave of 397 drones and missiles hit Kyiv and 5 other regions. More death, more injury, more structural damage. Residents had to go underground again. Ukraine has had its own retaliation, though. I thought some of this was interesting. There was a resistance group. Man, this is the stuff of movies. There was a resistance group embedded in Russian-occupied Ukraine that carried out a sabotage mission, a successful one. And they planted a bomb that killed 3 veteran drone pilots where they were. I mean, that kind of, my first thought is so much for those drone pilots just sitting in safety playing video games with people's lives, right? Ukraine brought it right to them. Right to them. This isn't really to be lauded, but the Luhansk mayor, now he was installed. He was a Russian installed mayor in Luhansk. He was installed once Russia kind of took control of that area. He was killed by an IED, murdered. Political assassination. And there were some other sabotage missions by Ukraine that were successful, destroying portions of their railway and portions of their infrastructure. So this has been ramping up. This has been ramping up. No doubt about it. Trump is right on point with that. And he has been talking to Zelensky about it because I told you, the narrative's starting to shift on Trump and Putin's relationship. Now he's softened his rhetoric on Zelensky, and now he's having good, meaningful, productive calls with Zelensky. How about that?
Yeah, we had a good call. We talked about different things, and we had a very good call. I think a very strategic call.
Are there plans to partner with Ukraine on munitions?
Well, we've been helping them, and we'll continue to help them. It's a pretty tough situation. We'll see what happens. I told you I was very unhappy with my call with President Putin.
Unhappy.
And it just seems like he wants to go all the way and just keep killing people. No good. It's not good. I wasn't happy with it.
He wants to go all the way. He wants to keep killing people. It's funny about that statement. Either you're playing dumb now, and that's a little acting job. Acting! And that's a little acting job out of you because you knew what Putin was going to do all along. You knew his intentions. You knew how far he was going to take it because you're a Russian agent. Am I being a little hyperbolic about that? Maybe. But so there's that camp, right? That train of thought, which is none of this is a surprise to Trump. He's in Putin's pocket. He knows exactly what Putin's intentions are in Ukraine, how far he's willing and planning to go. Or this is more evidence that Putin has been playing you all along, and that your desires, your campaign promises, they mean nothing to Putin. Your ego, the optics concerning your power globally, do not play a factor into what Putin plans to do in Ukraine. It's a non-factor. Your 24-hour war's over in 24 hours, a non-factor to Putin. A non-factor. You paused aid to Ukraine. You attacked Zelensky. You won't even admit that Russia started the war. You play into Russia's bullcrap reasons for the invasion, attacking Ukrainian governments, the government, talking about, corruption. And now on the back end, Putin has made you look like an idiot. He has made you look completely impotent. He dodges your peace meetings. You're not happy with his phone calls. You're saying these things publicly. He plays nothing close to the chest. The Mr. Dealmaker lays all his cards on the table every time he gets in front of a mic. It's pathetic. But now it's a good call with Zelensky, and he's not happy with his call with Putin. You can mark this. You can mark this as a decisive point in the narrative shifting in their relationship. He has more to say.
With you at all, if you're going to fight, and they were maybe at a nuclear stage. They're both, nuclear powers. And I think stopping that was very important. We're trying to help out with a Biden-created monster, this whole thing that's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's a horrible thing, and I'm not happy with President Putin at all. But this is something that would have never happened if I were president. This was a war that was never going to happen.
I'm telling you, the Marco alien is going to get replaced. Dude needs to move discernibly in some way at some point. He just stone cold. Completely rigid. And Hegseth, I don't know how it's possible, but Hegseth seems at times to be exacerbated by Trump's rhetoric. Like he's heard enough. He's had enough of this guy already. You just watch his face sometimes when Hegseth's in the shot. Sometimes he can't mask how he feels about what his dear leader is saying. But yeah, this is the Biden created monster. You knew that, right? Like, that's obvious. If he had been president at this time, this would have never happened. Just like he can end it in 24 hours. We don't believe a thing you say. You don't care. I mean, you either knew you couldn't, or your ego is so inflated that you thought it was an actual possibility. Either way, the war rages on. The Biden created monster. It's pathetic. And here comes something that really upsets me, because this presidency is normalizing quite a bit of things that really upset me. They're normalizing upsetting things, normalizing misogyny, normalizing criminals being a part of our administration, normalizing lying to the American public on a daily basis. That used to be, when a president got in front of a camera and lied, read my lips, no new taxes, or, the war in Iraq, things like that. It's like notable. It's a footnote in history. People notice that. This guy, 30,000 plus lies in his first administration, and he just lies to us every single time he gets in front of a camera now. And the Republicans and MAGA have normalized it. It's now normal practice for us to get lied to daily by our president. But what else is he normalizing? This upsets me.
I don't know. We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move
I'm
that
looking
bill?
at it. Yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passing and passed a very, very tough sanctions bill. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
MAGA, are you good with your 4-year-old sitting down and watching a Trump press conference with you? Now he just is going to cuss all the time. And no, I didn't bleep it. If our president can say it in front of a camera, I should be able to play it on my show, right? We're normalizing it, right? Foul language coming out of the White House. I mean, come on. How are we supposed to be taken seriously at all? Rubio met with Lavrov, by the way. He was at the 46th ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. He says, as been pointed out, we've seen acceleration in attacks. I think it's probably the largest drone attack in a city close to a Polish border, actually. So it's a pretty deep strike. Talking about those strikes, Rubio was saying, I don't want to overpromise regarding to the talks with Lavrov, citing Russia is on the offensive. So Rubio met with Lavrov, and he got a stiff arm just like Trump did on his phone call with Putin. They don't take this administration seriously at all, and nothing Rubio or Hegseth or Trump is going to say is going to change anything Putin does.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, breaking news, breaking rules, breaking through. Back to Brett Breaks Things.
All right. We're going to have a little bit of fun now at Donnie's expense. All right. We talked about the serious stuff. We talked about Russia and the deadly attacks that are unfolding as we speak. We talked about Trump's inability to do absolutely anything about it, one way or another. There is, by the way, just to put a pin up, just to kind of finish that point off, there is talks about new sanctions on Russia, bipartisan, by the way. They're not going to be able to get anything like that done without Trump's approval. So again, that shifting of the narrative, as they are now talking about, Thune is the majority leader in the Senate, is talking about, yeah, we got some bipartisan sanctions expected to involve their oil production and their ability to, make money through their oil production. I expect that's where it's going to be. But we'll see. As soon as it happens, we'll let you know. But Trump met with some people recently, a conference of African nations. And he handled it like a professional, experienced statesman. He was a shining example of American politics and a gracious host. Of course, right? No, that's not how Trump does. So here he is addressing some of these leaders. Let's play these clips. Let's get to it.
And we have a good inclination that we have lithium and other minerals. We're the second largest producer for the last 60 years in Africa of iron ore. We produce a lot. And we have a lot of resources in our seawaters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
But I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it.
Here we go.
Maybe we're going to have to go a little bit quicker than this because we have a whole schedule. If I could just say it's, your name and your country would be great. Thank you, please.
And you couldn't see it in that shot, but he was doing like a wrap it up as the guy was talking. Clearly his Adderall hadn't kicked in yet, and he just didn't want to be there. He didn't have the attention span or the wherewithal to be listening to this gentleman wrap it up. I told you yesterday, you can't say chop chop anymore, right? If you want to be PC, you can't say chop chop. Wrap it up. Come on, babe. It continues. This one hits close to home, man. This one, yeah, chef's kiss. Mwah.
We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
Yeah. You're one of them, Don. He speaks so well. One of the oldest racist tropes in American history. He speaks so well. I've heard that one quite a few times. Promise you that. And even as a young man, I knew what it meant. Don's talking to this dude like he's a 5-year-old. Where did you learn that, little boy? Did you learn that in school? Yeah. You speak so well. What's shocking to Don is our leaders of other nations that are intelligent, educated, and eloquent. These are things that are foreign to Don. He's not used to that. He can't relate to that at all. He's shocked. He speaks so well. He speaks so well.
I've personally been in the presence of people saying to you, "Wow, you're really well spoken."
You've heard it.
I've heard it 110%. It kind of always catches me off guard, like, whoa. Ah.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me he speaks so well, I would have just got a giant tax cut. Okay. All right. The Donanigans. I just made it up. They're not shenanigans. They're Donanigans. The Donanigans continue.
You want to ask any questions, please? Where's my reporter from Africa? There you are. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. President.
He's very famous in Africa.
Oh, all of a sudden he's,
Thank you.
Charming little smile out of him.
Thank you. I have one question for the African presidents and one question for
Okay, and then
President
she
Trump.
asked some bullcrap about nobody. Okay, so that is an African reporter. That is an African reporter who he had actually met with before. Her name is Haryana Veris. I'm sorry, Haryana Veris is her name. And he perks right up. Oh, he loves her. Here's the question she asked.
And for the African leaders, my question is, as you can see, President Trump is working to bring peace not only in Africa but also in the world. Are you all considering to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Prize Peace?
That's a very nice reporter.
Oh, that's nice.
I got to meet her 2 weeks ago when we had the Congo and Rwanda, and we had some other people up from Africa.
He just named Africa.
That was the first time. But that's a very nice. I appreciate the questions. Very nice, actually.
So you see how he didn't dismiss her, right? He's all perked up. He's happy to take that question about his Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't dodge that. He didn't demean her credibility. No, he's there for it. He likes her. How do we know he likes her? Because just a couple weeks prior, he literally flirted with her in the Oval Office. Check this out.
And that's so beautifully stated. And Caroline said, number one, she did say, and I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect, she said, she's beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that, you know, that could be the end of my political career, but I'll say it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. You covered Africa for a long time?
Yes, for over 10 years.
Wow.
I covered even your first administration.
Yes, I know that. That's great. Well, thank you. That's so nice that you said that. Appreciate it.
You're probably thinking, where's Melania? Melania's like, take him. Take him. You think she's beautiful? Take him. Variana, take him. Take him back to Africa with you. And by the way, he's got all these interactions with her. She's beautiful. She's famous. He doesn't know her name. I know her name. Just gave it to you. You know her name. He didn't say her name once. He doesn't know her name. He didn't bother to learn her name, but he's smitten with her. My African reporter. She's so beautiful. I had another, you know what? I'm just going to mention it real quick because He went on to talk about gas prices. This guy talking about gas prices. Gas prices are down to $1.99 a gallon. In one of those press conferences, I want to play it. I pulled this stuff, so I want to talk about it. Scotty, get out of here. Yeah, he's talking about gas prices are down to $1.99. Gas prices are not down to $1.99. Gas prices are on average $3.25 a gallon. They haven't been $1.99 since 2016. So I just wanted to debunk that little lie real quick. You took down the music. What are you trying to do? Scotty's playing me out with the music. He's upset that I tried to claim. Oh, you want to play the clip? I'll play the clip. Here we go.
Things are more costly. No, they're much less costly. Yesterday, $1.99 a gallon. There's 3 states were selling gasoline at $1.99. You haven't seen that for a long time. And I brought costs way down. Just about every cost. I can't think of a cost that went up.
Okay, yeah. You can't think of a cost that didn't go down. Yeah, we got you. Yeah. On the Gulf Coast, it's cheapest in the Gulf Coast region, $2.66 a gallon. East Coast, it's about $3 a gallon. In the Midwest, about $2.98. And on the West Coast, it's $4 a gallon. Nowhere is it $1.99 a gallon. He just says stuff. See what he's normalizing? He's affecting me. I'm a 47-year-old man. Oh, I'm guessing that it's still going. We just had an outage here in the studio. We're wrapping up the show. The guy just lies. Now he's got me swearing. That's the end of the show. I'll see you later, kids.
But regime change is something we should be aspiring to. It's remarkable to think that you go back to